I'm going to be coming to you. I know I surprised you, Louise, today. Well, what'd you think? Like you were John, so you're going to be having that role too. So be taking notes, and it'll be all of us will be interested in your perspective.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're now co-host too.
While we're waiting, I received a call from one of your wife's virtual assistants about an upcoming class
What does she teach?
regarding wealth. Let me tell you what your wife's doing. Wealth building, wealth management, or something wealth related. There's
But
a
that's-
one-on-one class.
But that's it's in Phoenix, right?
It's a virtual class. I think it's like the intro for an upcoming course or something.
Yeah. I know you. It's not Lori. What is your name on what? You've got a different name coming up. Not Lori Johnson. I know you. Where did I meet you at? Was it you Bold? Lori Johnson. Lori. No. Anyway, welcome everybody. Denny Grimes here. It is Friday, October 20th, and this is Denny Grimes Mastery of Real Estate. I appreciate you being on. If you want to email me, somebody's going to be a lucky winner of a 30-minute coaching call. You can always get me at coachdennygrimes@gmail.com. And today, that's not today. What we were working on today is kind of a continuation. If you were on Recon is a daily role play we do in the morning. On Friday, we take 1 hour and we dig a little deeper and give you guys a little bit more opportunity to play. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. And I don't know, Louise, you can give me your input on this. Louise is my co-host today. She's a rock star. She loves expired. So if you want to do expireds, she's your quote man. I think this would be in mastery. You don't have to participate. However, I would like to see your cameras on. So I know if we're on Gary Keller's mastermind, we have to have our cameras on. So unless you're like in a not a great position, you know, you got a lot of commotion going on, I'm going to encourage you to at least have your cameras on so we can see. And all you have to do is raise your hand if you want to participate. The first level of participation is being a buyer or seller. And then you'll eventually want to get up and role play with us. That's how we get better. So Louise, what do you think about that? Think they should have their cameras on?
I think that would be very helpful. And I don't see any hands up, so I'm wondering if Susan would be a good sport.
Susan, you're overdue. Yes, you've been so quiet
Absolutely.
on Recon.
Absolutely. I feel honored.
So there's the Recon numbers, by the way. Probably Louise might put that in the chat. You're in for a treat. Susan is well practiced. Now I know you want to do probably an outbound call. However, this being a mastery, Susan, what is your least favorite, what is your weakness if you have one when you have your conversations or calls? Because I want to work on that.
I have a lot of weaknesses. I think sometimes when I see a $5 million expire, I actually like next.
You choke.
Yeah. Or when a guy sound really professional and deep, like it just I end up losing confidence on that.
All right.
I'm like, hi, this is Susan. I do myself. Yes, well, what can I help you with? And I'm like, oh my God, like for a female, it's okay. But for a male, it's a little bit different because I just feel the voice, the tonality was a little bit over. I don't think I could overcome that. And that's my challenge.
Well, that's nice that you know that. So you kind of know me. I don't know if I could do that because, you know, although I'm a D, you know, I'm nothing but a teddy bear. So I don't know if I can do that. Now, you don't know Sandra that well. Sandra is not a man. However, she is a D and she can be very to the point. So why don't you, Sandra, fill in that role and you don't have to act because it'll just flow naturally.
So this is an expired.
Wow.
Yes, you are calling
Wow.
Sandra. You are calling Sandra, and then Louise and
I'm
I
a man, I guess.
taking, All
Okay,
right.
let me bring, so let's say pretend that you're in Manhattan Beach and your listing is $7 million, okay?
Okay,
Okay,
great.
so ring.
Hello?
Hi, this is Susan. I'm calling about 123 Maple Street. Was wondering when will you be putting that back on the market?
Susan, where'd you get my information from?
Yes, you know what? I'm sorry if I'm calling the wrong time. I did get your number through my system, but may I ask you, when you did have the house on the market, what was your plan?
I'm not really sure that I feel real comfortable in talking with you about this, because I don't know really who you are.
That's all right. Of course, you don't even know me from the hole in the wall, and you have a quite big asset right there. And you know what? This is exactly why I want to set up a time just to meet up a cup of coffee or come and preview the house, just to gain that 99% trust from you.
And you're aware that my house was, what'd you say, 7 million?
Yes.
Right. So we just don't randomly meet with strangers that just call us up on the phone. Do you have any references that you can refer to me before I decide to meet with you?
Absolutely. If I can grab an email from you, I'll send you a bio of who I am, and it has a picture of me so you know who will be knocking on your door.
I tell you what, just put it in the mail. It'll be fine.
Okay, is this your cell phone? Can you receive text on your phone?
I can, but I prefer not to.
Well, I just want to go ahead and give you my business card, and perhaps I could follow up with you and see what your plans and goals are, and what's plan B now that it didn't sell.
You can just put it in the packet that you're going to mail me. You can put your card in there.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you so much. And again, this is Susan. That's
Yeah.
all. I am not pushy. Can't do it.
Leave me alone. No, no, you did fine.
So
I was mean.
It keeps on natural to Sandra. So Louise, what are your comments?
I actually can relate to what Susan expressed because I get gun shy too. And I think of what David Long, who was my coach in the past, shared with me, and that everyone answers the phone the same way, hello. So don't be all biased when you see an amount. Having said that, it happens to me too, Susan. So I would be curious to hear how Denny and Sandra would have that role play.
Yeah, well, let me give you some feedback first, Susan. It's almost like when you make you were fast. Normally you're pretty quick, but you were faster than normal. And I think probably too fast in the beginning where it was difficult to understand you.
Okay.
So you might have been a little bit like psyched up for the call and you're getting ready. So you're going to bat. And when she said, well, you know, my house is 7 million, you said, yeah, it's like, oh, well, I'm so excited. I'm talking to someone. I've never done a $7 million home. Why don't you just be a matter of fact? Yeah, I know that. So contain your emotions a little bit. One more thing, and you can close it, Sandra, in a minute, but I don't think you're going to get somebody that's a D wanting to sit down with you to have a cup of coffee until they understand, or I want to talk about your goals. I can't imagine somebody calling my wife and getting an appointment that way.
That's true.
Probably the one thing that what she was doing is very typical of a D. A D is direct. You're not going to get control easily, maybe not at all on the initial call.
Okay.
Sandra.
Yes, sir.
Your thoughts as you were playing the role.
Well, the other thing too is that people of that caliber don't necessarily want a stranger in their house. So why not see if you can set an appointment to meet him at his office or drop information off at his office as well too, and have a very professional presentation put together.
Yeah.
And you have to remember, they don't know us from Adam, you know, and don't be scared. They all put their pants on the same way that we do. People, it may just be that their bank account's a little bit bigger than ours.
Yeah.
And trust me, I get nervous too. You know, if I get somebody who's a real stinky pot, you know, we all do, you know, but we're all human. And if they're a jerk, you may not want to work with them.
Yeah, so I had this conversation with my maps coach a long time ago. He told me that I had to break down the walls. It's only just numbers and zeros. And I try to overcome that, but every time when I see like I used to do like anything below $1 million, I would harass them. And then when I got my listing over 1 million, 1 million, 1 million, I'm okay. Now 1 million is like $500,000 property. And I just got a listing, I earned a listing, 3.3 million. And now I'm like, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this, right? But when I see the next threshold, 5, 7 million, I start to cave in again. Like my mindset is not there. And you're right, Denny. Because I psych myself up at $7 million, I'm in that zone and I'm calling her. That's the reason why I fell so fast. Like I need to I need to recalibrate myself, but when I'm looking at the numbers, I'm already in my zone
All
already.
right, hang on, we get it. Let me just put you at ease. You don't list the house. You don't list the numbers. You list the owner. And they're all people, and you're listing a personality. So you deal with a D in a $500,000 house and a D in a $7 million house, it's still a D. You're listing the property owner. So the value, don't even think about it. Now, again, if you ask me how I would do it, if I was talking to a D, I'll just go back to Sandra, and if I was making an expired call, I might, Sandra, hi, is this Sandra? This is Denny Grimes, Keller Williams. Do you have a quick second?
I do. How can I help you?
Thank you so much. Well, I saw that your home is no longer on the market. I just wonder, what are your plans moving forward? Because I specialize in helping people get moved.
We are actually going to downsize. Unfortunately, we just haven't had very good success in getting our property sold.
I got that. So let me ask you, would you have 3 minutes to have a discussion, whether it's now or I can call back and make an appointment?
I can give you 3 minutes. Just a second. Let me set my timer. Go.
Now, when I'm working with a D, one of the secrets I found is I'm going to give them a beginning and an end, and it has to do with time. Because they say, we need 3 minutes. Yes, if I'm on the long, if we're talking any longer than 3 minutes, it's because you want to continue the conversation. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Now you have the permission, so get down to it. Listen, if you still want to get moved, I have a plan that might be able to help you. And my plan it has these 3 ingredients. Happy to text it over to you. And maybe we can set an appointment. Good idea. Maybe at your office or at your home. Would I know it's a yes or no, but again, I'm making this up as I go. I don't think you're going to manipulate these people. Would it be worth a few minutes to hear me out?
It'd be worth it. It'd be worth it to give you a few minutes. If you'd be kind enough to go ahead and send me over some references and your listing packet so I could preview it before we meet, that would be awesome. Can you do that?
Yeah, absolutely. What's the best way to get it to you?
You can FedEx it to the house.
What'd you say?
I said you can FedEx it to the house.
Okay, there you go. And so I don't think some of the standard language, and I don't want to give you any kind of a preconceived idea. However, if you're going to go up the ladder from a value standpoint, they're used to probably moving faster, and they have options. So, and if it's a D at any price range, you're just going to have to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop pretty quick. So let's move on. Do we have any hands up? You got to get your hands up, you guys. Come on, let's play. We're going to call on you. Hey, Frank, I see you're back. Are you ready to go again?
Sure, hey, I always play. I can only get better.
So I think we gave you one today. I want you to pick. What would you like to do? Have a role play over today.
Okay. Give me a little more. I'm not quite following.
Say it again. Say it again, Frank.
Are you asking what situation it would be?
Yeah.
for?
Yeah, do you want to buy or sell? I'm giving you your choice, buy or seller.
Let's do seller.
Seller. All right. Susan. You're the seller.
Do you
You're
have
at
a
the
scenario?
table. You're at
Any
the table.
scenario?
That's the scenario. You're at the table. He's a list trying to get your listing. Your objection is whatever you want it to be. And Frank, you're gonna say, you don't have to say it because I'm saying it. Are you ready to move forward, Susan? Susan, what is your objection?
No, Frank, you know what? I don't really trust any of you guys. That's the reason my house didn't sell the last time.
All right, Susan. So sorry you had a bad experience. And tell me, what about that experience made it bad for you?
I don't really want to talk about it.
All right.
Wait a
What do
minute,
you-
Susan, you're at the table. This isn't on the phone.
Oh, okay,
Because
Okay.
you wouldn't be talking like that if he was sitting there.
right.
Okay, so this is a listing presentation, and let me just reset this. All right, go back. What is your objection, Susan?
Your commission is too high for me.
There we go. There you go, Frank.
Okay, Susan. And what about my commission makes you think it's too high?
Well, you're asking for 6%, and the other agent's gonna do it for 5%.
Okay. And Susan, let me ask you a quick question. Has there ever been a time when you paid less for something and when you got home found out it was not quite what you really wanted?
Well, yes, but this is not that time. I mean, my house didn't sell and the agent listed for 5%. It took time. I'm gonna be listed with the same agent because he put in money for staging and he cleaned the house up and he prepped it for me. So I'm kind of loyal to him.
Okay. And let me ask you this. If you go back with the same agent, what do you expect him to do different, or what has he told you he'd do different than what he did before?
It's not that, Frank. See, the agent did a lot of work. He actually put upfront costs in staging my house. And he spent over $15,000 on this. So I have an obligation. I owe him. I'm a man. I'm a woman of my words.
Well, Susan, I can appreciate your loyalty and thinking about all the money he spent. But in reality, you don't owe me anything. You really don't owe him anything. But you do owe yourself the best shot to get your house sold. Don't you agree?
I do agree. You know, he spent a lot of money and I feel bad.
And I can appreciate that. And probably if I was in the same position, I'd probably feel a little bit bad also. However, the goal here is to get your house sold for the most money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of hassle. Isn't that the case?
It is. Frank, how about this? I'm okay to list the house with you, but the staging is on you.
All right. Let me ask you this. You seem to be having different objections. What is the true objection?
All right, so Frank, I'm glad you figured that out. However, and whose fault is it you're handling one objection at a time without isolating it?
My fault.
There you go.
I realized it as I got into it.
Yes, you did. And it was all over the place. That's a great example, you guys, of why you want to isolate. So let me go back. Let me just pick up here for a second, Susan. And you mentioned a commission objection up front. This is exactly what you say. Okay, I understand. Other than the fee, and again, I never say commission. Other than the fee, is there anything else preventing us from doing business today?
No, but there's one thing though, the agent that listed the home before spent a lot of money on staging and prepping the house for sale.
All right.
So when she said that, the scenario, I'm just assuming she's interviewing agents because her home expired. Is that where you're going?
Yes.
All right. Now, Frank, hang on. I'm going to ask anyone what would be a great question. Anyone can play. You don't have to do the whole role play. What would be a great question right now? And there's more than one. Come on. You're all listening.
Okay, so you're asking what would be a great question to ask after she's given multiple objections?
Well, I mean, right now in the role play, I mean, it was commission. I said, other than that, now she's bringing up her past agents got all this time and money invested in it. There should be something rolling around in your mind. See, what we're doing here, Master. hang on. I want you guys to learn how to think. What's missing? Go ahead. Was that Frank or who was that speaking?
There's Nancy. It's Nancy.
Oh, Nan-
I was gonna say, what was your plan when you sold? What was your plan? Where were you gonna go?
Okay, so that is, I don't have it up here. I think it's right here, maybe. Frank, we didn't get to motivation a lot when you were going through it. I stopped a little bit early, but that's obviously you want to get to motivation. However, what is there a question that's kind of bubbling up in your brain right now that's kind of obvious? Anyone want to take
Why
a
would you sell? Why were you selling?
Again, that goes to motivation. This is not a motivation question. Here's where I'm going, you guys. Well, if you feel loyal to your existing agent because they've got all this money invested, why am I here?
Oh my gosh.
That's a great question. I like that one.
Well, I mean, so you got to ask, like, so role play. Susan answered. So if you have that loyalty with your last agent and you weren't successful, why are we meeting?
Well, you told me that you were able to get my home sold, and you said that you want to give me some options.
Okay, so all right. Now I'm going to go back to you guys. What's a logical question? What they do, you don't have to have all these things thought of in advance. Their response should be triggered automatic questions. What's the question from there? Come on, help me role play this. Anyone can pick. Louise, you're quiet. You know, you have your thoughts. What would be a logical question?
Susan, will you repeat what you just said, please?
Oh, this is actually real. That was my listing that I earned from Manhattan Beach. So he's you told me that you're gonna give me some options.
Okay, well, all right. Well, that's what your answer was. All right. So, what would be a nice question now, if you're interviewing her?
Okay, I would want to try to isolate it as to what options is she referring to?
Well, you said you had options to help her get her home sold. That's why you're there.
Oh, okay,
You got in the
okay,
door, right? That you got the appointment because of the options, is
Right.
what I'm guessing.
okay. Now I know where we're sitting. Okay.
So let me tell you what's going through my brain, so you can start to track with me. Well, if you're here, if you allow me to come and have a conversation with you because you have some options to get your home sold, there must be a thought or a desire somewhere deep within you that you would consider not using your agent because you really want to get your home sold, or you want to take my options and tell your friend or your past agent what options are out there. The fact that she's interviewing you means something. So, all right. Then I'll just keep going and you guys can get the next question. So, Susan, are you saying that if you hear the right options from me to get your home sold, would that kind of, then you would consider moving forward with me as your agent?
I guess, like I say, I'm just concerned that I had to, he spent a lot of money on my house.
Perfect. Now, give me a question, guys. I already know what I'm going to ask. What are you going to ask?
So at that meeting, I said, wow.
No. We don't. Hang on to that. Hang on. Don't go to the war stories. We're going to stay this role play. Anybody have a question? You'd ask?
Susan, can you repeat the objection one more time, please?
Just the question. Yeah, the answer. What is the answer?
I said, I forgot. He asked me will you be moving forward? Well, the only thing is he spent a lot of money on
There you go.
in my house.
That's it. You said $15,000, right?
Yeah.
So here's the question.
Okay.
What's more important to you? Getting your home sold, and now here's where I'd probably be going to some motivation. By the way, when did you want to be moved to Montana?
As soon as possible. My husband wants to go down to this community.
As soon as possible, right? And so ideally, if you had a magic wand, what date is equals as soon as possible.
Well, when I sell my house,
Well, I
My-
got that. You've got a magic wand. Ideally, if you could snap your fingers, your house was sold and you would be in Montana. When would you like that to be?
next week,
Okay, so my question is this. What's more important? You worried about the $15,000 that the past agent spent that did not produce results, or having results to get you there in a week?
to get me there in a week.
You see, what you're doing is you're kind of peeling her off like wallpaper a little bit of the time from the past agent.
Yeah.
Any comments on that?
No,
Yeah,
it's,
so
it's a good way to do it.
Yeah. And
So-
go ahead. Go ahead.
Interesting enough, when he told me about that dollar expense, and I said, well, is that XYZ dollar amount that he spent, is that going to hold you back from moving forward? That's what I said to him.
And what did he say?
And he stumbled. He said, no. And then how about this? Once when you sell it, maybe you feel bad, the proceeds that you're gonna collect, maybe you could give him some back out of courtesy.
Well, how about future pacing? Well, in 90 days, instead of 15,000, he's got another 10 spent. Now he's $25,000 in a hole, and you're still not to Montana. You're gonna go for round 3?
Yeah.
So that's enough of that one. We started something today at Recon, and I said we would pick it back up, and that is somebody who wanted to sell. Wanted to buy, but had to sell first, but did not want to be homeless. And I think Louise put in there a contingent offer. And it made me think that I would have said, no way, you guys don't even go down that road. You will have a better opportunity to do a contingent offer now than you would have, because there's sellers out there who don't have as many choices. However, what I want you to know, and I guess I'll ask this as a question and you tell me your thoughts. And this is where you guys can actually talk. I don't see your smoke signals, okay? Are you doing the best for your seller who's a buyer? They're the buyer. Is your buyer, seller/buyer, gonna really get the best deal with a contingent offer? Give me your thoughts.
It actually worked for me. I had great success with it with our seller.
Well, wait a minute. That's not the
It all-
question. Oh, I know it worked. But is it really, given your buyer, seller,
You know,
buyer?
I guess I have to think about, that was a different market, right?
You
It was
gotta,
But
everything-
I just took one I'm executing one today that we got a full price offer. I've got the seller, and the buyer's house is already under contract, and it's cash, and it's contingent upon the sale of their house. So to
That
me,
clause.
yeah,
It's contingent on the closing.
yes, contingent of a closing.
That's a little bit different than contingent on the sale, but I understand what you're saying. Here's my point. If a house is not sold, then they have to take a contingent offer. That means that seller would sell it for less with a non-contingent offer.
Says who?
True?
Yeah, who says that?
I say that.
Oh,
Is it
I think
accurate? Would you believe it if Gary Keller said it? I'm
No.
saying that if you have a seller that gives concessions, they would sell it for less without the concessions. So what I'm saying, I'm not saying it's not a tool, because
I see what you're saying.
because your seller may not have any other options other than do a contingency, except for this. So let's role play this one. So I'm going to go to who wants to role play. And I don't know, you change your name. It's not Lori. The gentleman in I met you not long ago. You've got the brown shirt on. You're right in the middle of my screen. What's your name?
That's
Isom Chappelle.
awesome.
What is it?
Isom Chappelle.
Isom. Yeah, Isom.
Yes.
So you're the seller,
Okay.
and you have to sell in order to buy.
Copy.
Okay, so here, let me get my timer, because I don't want to do all the talking here. I want this is a much better plan. If you don't agree with it, then you can tell me, and then I'll just make sure you're blocked from the call from now on. No, I'm kidding. All right, here we go. So let me ask you, so you have to sell in order to buy, correct, Ison?
Yes.
And so what is your plan? How are you going to do that?
Well, I was going to take the money that we made from this home sale and go ahead and purchase a new house in Louisiana.
I got that. So are you going to sell first and then go shop for a home in Louisiana?
Yes, that's the plan. We'll probably rent for, short term, maybe 3 to 6 months to give us a buffer, but we're going to buy in Louisiana.
Right. Well, I'm going to change the scenario. You don't want to sell your house until you have a house to buy.
Okay, copy.
Inventory
So,
study. So what is your
Mhm.
plan then? If you have to sell in order to buy, what is your plan, Ison?
Well, we have to sell in order to buy. Well,
So
right now we don't.
Are you going to sell first or buy first?
We are going to buy first.
Okay, so that means you can buy without selling.
I think I'm getting tripped up on this scenario. You want me to buy first and then sell?
No, I'm role playing with you.
Okay.
Forgive me. It's my fault if you're confused. You can't buy until you sell.
Copy.
But you don't want to sell until you have a house to buy. So your option is to do a contingent offer, which I'm going to give you the alternative to the contingent offer, because
Okay.
I think this will be better for the seller / buyer. So you can.
Okay.
I'm asking the question: how are you going to do it? This is the age-old thing. You guys don't solve problems quickly. Don't solve problems till they know they have one. I'm asking Ison what his plan is, because he can't buy without selling. And he doesn't want to sell until he has some house to buy. So what is the plan, Ison?
Well, we were hoping that we can get some contingencies that would allow us the flexibility.
Okay, so we're not. So how would you be open to an alternative?
Sure.
Do you think you would get a better deal as a buyer, as if you came in as a cash buyer instead of a contingent buyer?
Absolutely. Cash buyer.
Right. So how would you like your cake and eat it too?
Well, if we could sell this property as soon as possible, have the ability to have a short-term housing, whether it's here in this house or somewhere else, and then go ahead and close on another property.
Well, that's what I'm going to show you. So you're looking in Louisiana. Are you looking at houses there? Have you seen houses you like?
Yes, we have.
How often do they come on the market?
Periodically, I wouldn't say frequently, but every couple of weeks we see something that pops up.
So if we had somebody that would give you your number for your house, that would allow you to stay in your house post-closing, after closing, you have all your money, you haven't had to move yet. Would you feel comfortable having 2 weeks or 4 weeks of occupancy in your existing house so you can secure a home in Louisiana and pay as a cash buyer?
Absolutely. That sounds ideal.
So I don't know why you guys don't go down that road, because it's a whole lot better all the way around. And all you have to do is find a buyer that wants to wait 30 days post occupancy. Now, do you think that would be better or worse or push from a contingency? Any input? I'm just
For the situation I had, the sellers wouldn't have been comfortable with that, because that would have meant if they didn't find a property in 30 days, they would be homeless in 30 days. They would have just postponed the inevitable.
Well, no, because the great point, Louise, that's why I'm asking him how often he sees a house. He said every 2 weeks, so I doubled it. Now, Louise just saying, well, I don't think I'd be comfortable with 30 days. Okay, well, what would you be comfortable with, Louise?
I wouldn't be comfortable with me personally. I wouldn't be comfortable with any amount of time. I'm highly conservative. So I would like to know that if I don't find a house, that I don't have to sell my home.
I got that. And so what is that? That's kind of like an insurance policy. What are you willing to pay for that comfort? Because you're going to pay more on the buying side.
I'm willing to put down a larger escrow.
No, that won't do it. You can put down $1 bazillion. However, if it's contingent, it's not going to mean anything to the seller.
See, I guess the reason it's hard for me to play this scenario is because I didn't have it. not once, but twice. Like it worked out.
Yes, it worked out, but that doesn't mean it worked out the best. I'm just giving you another option.
Mhm.
I'm not attached to which one you do. I just want you to have options. And from a physics standpoint in real estate, it just goes to say, I mean, I'm just saying that a cash buyer will get a better deal than a contingent buyer. Yes or yes?
Oh, yeah.
So,
Definitely.
so for that peace of mind for your seller, they felt okay paying more. In fact, you probably didn't even have a discussion about it. Whether you have the discussion about it or not, what this being a mastery class is, I'm attempting to share things with you, different facets of the transaction, and help them understand that, hey, look, I don't care if they give me 15 years post possession. I'm not going to do it till I have a home to go into. Awesome. Then we'll have a contingent offer. We'll find a seller that will take a contingent offer. Number one, it probably won't be one of the better listings because a better listing doesn't have to do it. Number two, they're going to pay more. If they're okay paying that premium, perfect. So again, I'm not on a soapbox. I'm just giving you different thoughts that I believe are market true.
But it's also contingent on if your seller is needing to buy another home, whereas my seller's not needing to buy another home. This is an investment property that we're selling. And we still took a contingency full ask. Okay, I guess that didn't go well.
If you don't have to sell, then the post occupancy is the best way to go. Because they can still get money on it. And you know, you're not tied to this contingency, which may or may not work at all.
If you don't have to sell, what your best bet is to buy. And then sell when you feel like it. See,
If I understood it, her seller took a contingency offer rather than a post occupancy, where is
my seller doesn't live in the house. It's an investment property. It's vacant.
okay, so he's not in there at all.
No.
Okay.
So we'll move on, you guys. I don't want to get, I'm sorry if I bogged you down. I just want you to noodle the point that I'm making. A contingent offer is probably more attractive now than it was 18 months ago. However, the buyer who's making that contingent offer, or seller, however you want to name it, is not getting the best home for the best dollar because it's a contingent offer, not a cash offer. Next. So, all right. Pick somebody that who would like to play. I got a lot of people here that don't have their cameras on, a lot of Sherry's today. Mari's here and Arnie's on, Arne's on. So you must have finished early at your appointment.
I did. It was the strangest thing. A doctor had me in and out in 10 minutes.
Well, that either means you're going to live forever or don't have long to live. So you might as well get back out there and spend your last day doing what you like. Get on the role play.
All right.
All right. So Louise, you, Arne and Mari can do something, and you can call what it is. I got the timer ready.
Let's go with a someone who doesn't want to sell. This is going to be good for the upcoming month. Someone who doesn't want to put their house on the market now because of the holidays. Convince them otherwise.
All right. So Mari, you're the seller, and Arne, you're going to be the agent. This is at the table. Go.
Okay, Arne. You know, with the holidays coming up, and I am gonna have a lot of family coming in, and I just want to wait until over the holidays to put my house on the market.
Okay. I understand. So other than that, is there any reason we can't move forward with signing today?
No, that's the only reason. I don't want to be interrupted with showings and open houses, and we just want to have quiet celebration, and besides we have relatives coming, so yeah, we'll wait until over the holidays and put the house on the market in January.
Okay, so we have two options. One is we can make it a coming soon listing. So we can put it in coming soon status and get it 30 days of free marketing. No pictures, no show. Or if you are flexible on some showings, we can block off a certain number of days that you're going to be with your family. So there will be no showings whatsoever. And then we can pick a certain number of days where you will do showings between whatever hours you're comfortable with.
Well, sounds good, but when you put it at the coming soon, isn't that gonna count towards the time that my house is gonna be on the market and people are gonna say, oh, the house has been on the market for 2 months if we don't have offers because we are not showing anybody until January?
So actually coming soon in our MLS does not count as days on market.
Oh, interesting.
So when
Okay.
you're ready, you just tell me if it's before 30 days, you just tell me when you're ready, and then we can order professional photos and we can go live, and then you'll be active on the market and you can have showings whenever you want.
I'm pausing you guys. I have a question. Arne, what's your motivation? Did you discuss that?
No.
Why are you giving prescriptions without understanding what her motivation is? I know I thought about it afterwards. Louise, she does buyers, and I don't know how many sellers she does. So I should have caught that really fast, but I didn't.
I have not done a listing presentation in over a year.
I realized it was my fault. I should have caught that. So, however, why don't we do the same thing, and we'll Louise, find someone to do that same presentation as the seller. We have time. Arne, I want you to do it as a buyer, and I'm a buyer. I'm going to go back and reset this. I don't want to buy during the holidays. Go.
Okay, Denny. So other than that, is there any other reason why you don't want to move forward today?
No.
Okay, so remind me again, why did you want to buy?
Well, we're renting now, so we want to get out of this apartment and we want to go to and own something. And I figured maybe after the first year, we'll enjoy the holidays, get our decorations up, and we have company, and it'll just be better. And eventually we want to have our own house. That's our motivation.
Okay, so if we could have you in your new home before Christmas, so you could be decorating your new home, would that be something you'd be interested in?
No.
Okay. So you're renting right now. When does your lease expire?
We're month to month.
You're month to month. And has your month to month. Do you think that in the coming year, when the new year passes, your landlord might want to increase that for the new year?
Well, you're probing for pain, aren't you?
Yes.
What's the obvious question, guys? No, she hasn't asked me yet. Why do I want to wait till after the holidays? I mean, I told you I've got company and all this other stuff, but do you really understand? And what would be the potential pain in me waiting?
Interest rates going up, prices going up.
It's hard to really, in my opinion, on a few weeks, few months. So let me just give you an idea. Do you have something, Louise, you want to do?
What about instead of, and I'm like the eternal optimist here. What about instead of thinking, what is the pain of waiting until the new year, or what is the benefit of waiting until the new year? What is the benefit of selling during the holidays? You have people that want to get homestead. You have an influx of people visiting. You have more time off, so there's more viewing time. Like I like to put the positive spin on it.
But
you also have
No,
more serious. You have more serious buyers looking through the holidays as well too.
that's where I wanted to go. Now remember, Louise, I'm a buyer. What you're talking about is a seller, right? Why would a buyer want to be in the market during the holidays? Sandra had it.
Because
they're
there's more buyers. Yeah.
Because sellers are more motivated.
Yeah.
They want to get
Yes.
sold.
Yes. If the sellers keep their house on the market. So now how do we, how do we form that as a question? And by the way, are there gonna be a lot of buyers that get out of the market during the holidays because of the holidays? So
Yeah,
how would you frame that in a conversation?
are you willing to wait until the first of the year when more buyers get off the fence and you've got a bigger buyer pool? Right now, you've got a smaller buyer pool to deal with, and you've got low inventory. So
Hang
how's
on,
it
now you're just going on and on and on. That's way too much.
I'm-
Stop.
With,
That's all
with
good
the
information.
fact that
Convert it to a
sellers,
question.
with the
Hang on.
fact that sellers are more motivated to sell during the holidays, be a benefit to you?
Well, I guess I would, you're close to the way I would play that shot. I would say, let's go to Sandra first. So let me ask you, I'm a little slower doing it, and you just went right to the point. If you're feeling like this, Sandra, as the buyer, do you think other buyers are feeling like that?
potentially.
So can you see an advantage if you stay in the market during a time when a lot of your other buyers, which are your competition, decide to go to the sidelines?
Yes.
Now, how about if you're a seller? Do you think that sellers sometimes decide not to have their homes on the market during the holidays?
Yeah.
And what would it mean if the sellers left their home on the market? Would they be more motivated or less? See, that's what I'm attempting to get you guys to kind of build it up a little bit. And then, I mean, help them see that when they start answering it themselves. So you guys are on the right track. I just want you, Sandra, you went right to it and just kind of laid 15 things down all at once. I like to kind of lay it down a little slower. That's all.
Maybe we just do things fast in Texas. What can I say?
Oh, well, yeah, you do everything fast in Texas. Okay, so let's finish the role play now as a seller. Mari, where are you? She's still there?
I'm here.
Okay. And now you work with sellers, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, so now you go to Arne. She is going to be the you're the agent, Mari, and Arne is the seller, does not want to sell during the holidays. Go.
Okay, yeah. So Mari, I just want to wait until after the holidays.
I understand. What's important to you about waiting around the holidays, Arne?
There's just so much going on, and we're gonna have family, and everybody's gonna be in and out, and it's chaotic and hectic. I don't want to have to deal with, showing the house.
I get it. And so let me ask you, other than the holidays, is there anything else that is stopping from working together and put your house on the market?
No, I just want to wait until the holidays are over.
Okay. And remind me again, why are you selling your house?
We want to buy a bigger home.
Oh, awesome. Okay. And do you need to sell in order to buy?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. So do you want to sell this house and buy the other home? So let me ask you something. I found a lot of people like you that are in the same situation that want to wait the holidays, put a pause before they buy or before they sell. So at the same time that you want to be on the market, we probably will have more buyers and sellers in the market.
Can you make that a question?
No.
No.
Okay. So Arne, let me ask you something. So we have buyers also waiting for the holidays to be over and sellers the same thing. Let me ask you, when you are back on the market in January, do you think there will be more buyers in the market?
Well, yeah, I mean, if you said we have buyers waiting until after the holidays, so yeah, there's going to be more buyers, so there'll be more people who want to buy my house, right?
Yeah, there will be more people buying your house, and you also need to buy a home, right?
Yeah.
So will you have more competition then in January as a buyer?
Yeah, I guess I will.
Okay. So wouldn't it be better to buy now, be in the market buying now when you have less competition?
I'm gonna have to stop it because is she selling and buying?
Yes,
Well, aren't you making both arguments? I mean, if you said there's gonna be more buyers in January, so as a seller, wouldn't it be better for her to wait?
yeah, but as a buyer, she's gonna have competition.
Well, but they kind of cancel each other, don't they?
I guess.
You're gonna have to make a decision. You're gonna go one way or the other, or find the advantages of both. So you're almost selling tastes great, then you're selling less filling, you know, kind of like the Bud Light.
Okay.
Louise, what are your thoughts on that?
Not specifically that role play. I'm wondering if the format, when we say you're the seller, you're the buyer, we kind of answer some more questions, because I'm thinking before we sit down with them, we would know some of these answers. So when we hop into role play at the table, we're at a disadvantage because we have the pre-qual call, right? Before we go, we review motivation, timeline. Do you need to sell in order to buy? So maybe as we're setting up the role play here, I wonder if it would save time to say, this is the scenario, you're at the table, and this is the motivation, and one more thing.
Ah, yes, if we were well prepared. Yes, that'll be your assignment, Louise, to make sure we're well
Sure.
prepared for all of us. That'd be perfect.
I guess,
Go ahead.
I guess asking, well, asking it in the form of a question, but, letting the seller know that there are fewer buyers around the holidays, but the buyers that are out are a lot more serious.
Then how would you ask that?
So while there are fewer buyers, do you know what's important about those buyers during the holidays?
No.
They're a lot more serious about buying a home.
Just ask it straight out. Hey, Arne, do you think that the buyers who are looking during the holidays are more serious or less serious?
Right?
They could be
Okay.
Christmas shopping, they could be Hanukkah shopping, they could be traveling, but they're looking for homes. Do you think they're more
Okay.
serious or less serious?
Well, the question that I came to my mind, and there's like a bazillion questions. Well, what do you want, Arne, as a seller? Do you want quality or quantity? You want more people looking or the most motivated people looking?
I think,
Go ahead, Frank.
I think her best bet in this scenario, all right, is with less sellers and more motivated buyers to sell right away. And then when she goes to buy, there's more sellers. Even though there's more buyers, she's still at a better advantage than trying to buy now and then sell later.
I think that's a pretty good point, Frank. The bottom line is it's going to boil down to the motivation. And I think going back to Louise's statement, I think we can set these role plays up better by even giving you a little blink into their motivation so you don't have to make it up. I just have one more thing to say before we close this out here in a few minutes. And I shared this on Recon. This came across my phone. I have Google alerts out there on the real estate market. And it says U.S. home sales fell in September to the lowest level since the Great Recession. So what do you think that does to the buyer's market, the buyer's mindset out there? Does it make them want to rush out, or does it make them want to wait?
It makes them want to wait.
Mm-hmm.
So my admonishment to you, my advice to you is this, is that if you don't have Google alerts set up on the real estate market in your area or even nationally, this is actually a quote from Lawrence Yun from the National Association of Realtors. That is already becoming news stories. TV stations are going to see that. This is the thing that they thrive on. This is clickbait, you guys. This is where they lead before the top of the hour when people want to watch. Now, I want you guys to know about it so you have a conversation around it. And what does that mean? Because this is what the media is going to be putting out there. So if you haven't set up, just a second, Louise, if you haven't set up your Google alerts on things like that, I'd encourage you to do it. Go ahead.
What
Louise.
is your Google alert for? I'd like to set mine up.
What do you
What did you Google alert to receive that?
Lawrence Yoon, Y-U-N, Lawrence Yoon.
He's a smart guy.
And there could be others. I mean, if you have a competitor you compete against, you put a Google alert on them so if they're in the media or somebody else. I have Gary Keller, I have In the News, I have this is actually Lawrence Yoon. I subscribe to Market Watch. It's $1 a week. And so anyway, you know, you don't have to geek out on this stuff. However, I want you, this is mastery. I want you to know ahead of time before things start making the news cycle. And this is how it starts. And go ahead.
I put a sample scenario in the chat. Would something like that be helpful as we're role playing in the future?
Let's see. And we're going to have the drawing, so don't hang up, you guys.
So should we Google alert Denny Grimes also?
Oh, you would be bombarded. You don't have time to do anything else, of course. Oh, I see what you're saying. Location table, client, motivation.
What am I missing?
Well, I think that's a good start. And I don't know how we're going to do it. I mean, people have to look at the chat, which sometimes they don't do, but.
Well, we would just do it at the beginning because like you already start with we're at the table, it's a seller, you know, just add more things.
Or maybe I have it behind me in the slide. So let me ask you this. How many people were in the participation, hands up, and talking today, Louise?
1, 2, 7.
All right, 7. Isom,
Yes.
what day were you born? On what date?
June 14th, 1987, a Sunday.
Oh,
June 14th, 6, 6/14.
6 is number 6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ah, it's Isom.
Isom, you win a 30-minute call, baby.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So
Nice.
based on how I'm doing these, it'd be maybe 2040. I'll probably catch up to you. Now send me an email at Coach Denny Grimes Gmail. And
Copy, will do.
set stuff up. I did set up 2 of them today. And so I'm working through my calendar. I will get you here as ASAP, okay?
Can I ask you guys how to handle this objection? I kind of heard it this morning. One of the expires said, well, I'm not selling my house anymore because I have low interest rate. Yeah, then I kind of thought, oh, well, when I first bought my first home, it was 10%. Because yeah, but the home prices was a lot cheaper back then. How do you handle that objection?
Motivation. Why did it
Motivation.
Yeah. How would you handle it, Louise? What would you ask?
Why? Susan, well, I'd isolate it other than the interest rate and what is the reason you want to make the move?
Well, we were gonna go to a different neighborhood. You know, it's not
What's important
right
about
now.
the different
Yeah, but here's the objection. He goes, well, right now the interest rate is 8%, and mine is only 4%.
Okay, so other than the interest rate, what is the reason you would move other than the interest rate?
Well, I would have gone to downsize to a different neighborhood.
And what's important about downsizing? Why not stay where you're at?
Well, my house is way too big. I just need a 2-bedroom.
Then you just kind of dive into the pain of
Yeah.
being in a house that's too big.
That's
Yeah.
right. And one more thing I would say, okay, so if it's, well, you're at 4% and it's at 7.5% now, what would be an acceptable interest rate that you would pay today? What's it worth you to downsize? What would be an acceptable rate? Give me a number.
Pretty much the same, maybe 5%.
Okay, well, if there was a 98% probability that would never happen, what would you do?
Well, I'll stay put.
Okay, then I guess downsizing is not important.
Like that.
And then look at the monthly payment, maybe like it's possible they have
Yeah.
accumulated
Yeah.
a lot of profit or equity in the home that they're selling, and they can apply that equity toward what they're buying, and they might be at a comparable monthly payment.
That's where I was gonna go.
or
Go ahead.
possibly a lower monthly payment, and thereby be putting money in their pocket every month.
Yeah, I would have taken it to the payment if she had given me, rather than comparing 7.5 to 4, if she would have said, well, I would do 5, 6. I would have figured out what the delta was between the 6 and the 7.5 into the monthly investment, into the daily investment. So it's worth $17 a week. Is that to be downsized? And then you can, this is, if John was on the call, he would look at all the cost of ownership and how much you're saving on a smaller home,
Right.
etc.
But
So
it's
that's what we're
interesting, I kind of took it, because we did talk about that, I kind of took it, okay, well, if the home prices so many years was much different than what it is now, because right now, when you think about it, home prices are high and so are the interest rate. When someone's buying maybe 5 years ago, prices are very different, particularly where I live, right? 5 years ago, prices very different, and the interest rate was much more different than what it is now.
And if they're a C personality, that would probably work for them. But if they're more emotional, I think you know, Susan, how would living in a smaller home impact you and your family? Like go toward the emotion.
Yep, exactly.
Also, if they're open to new construction, a lot of new construction is offering like 30-year fixed 5.25%.
Is that for investors or only homeowner occupied properties?
Most
That's
of them are owner occupied.
those are conventional.
But do you have to occupy the home or can you be an investor?
I don't know if it matters.
It depends. It depends on the subdivision.
Who's looking to buy? I might want to buy in our Nays area because we don't have that where I live here in Florida.
Well,
I know of one subdivision where you can do that.
Well,
And
don't
you
talk
can-
offline. I don't want to keep everyone.
All right, yeah, so I've got to run. You guys, thanks. Have an awesome weekend. Cheers.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, Denny.
Bye, have a good
Take care,
weekend.
everybody.
Cheers, Sandra.
Yeah, well, yeah, always.